I have always been an artistic person. I've always loved making things, whether it's painting or sculpting, making jewelry, making clothes, sewing. I love all of that. Creating is a way that I feel like I can connect with myself. When I was growing up, I was a pretty quiet kid. I had really low self-esteem. I didn't know how to hang out with other kids my age. I spent a lot of time reading, and I was pretty anxious and would struggle with depression. And my dad, who is in his 80s now, he grew up in a time and in a place where you didn't really talk about your emotions. You didn't really ever connect with your kids that way, but he would often show me how to work through my artistic projects. He'd give me feedback. He'd tell me how to improve. And he was a pretty good artist himself, although he would say that he wasn't. And most importantly, he told me how to look at the world like an artist. He'd point out a flower and say, wow, isn't this pattern beautiful? Or he'd look at some tree bark and say, don't you see like there's maybe a bunny in that texture? And we'd look at clouds and notice that some of them look like different shapes, and we'd make up funny stories, and that's how we would connect. And I'm really grateful for those moments, because even now as an adult, if I feel stressed out or having emotions that I don't really know how to work through, I know going outside and connecting with nature or diving into a project and making some art is a good way to handle my emotions. And now I have a daughter. She's 6 years old. She's pretty sensitive and very creative. I'm noticing that she has a lot of the emotions that I struggled with when I was a kid. She struggles with working through her own emotions, and now I find myself trying to teach her how to process those feelings. And I realize I actually don't know how to process them either. I only know how to work through things through art. So as I'm teaching her how to process her new emotions, I'm also learning as an adult how to process my own. Because you can't always just dive into an art project, and you can't just take, an entire day to work on a sculpted cake for yourself just for fun. Sometimes, you're on your way to school or you're on your way to work, and we just have to learn to breathe and be okay with those strong emotions. So I'm 40 years old now, and I'm just now learning how to deal with all of those emotions as well. But it's good. It's a good process. And on a good day, I still am able to dive into a cake or a sculpted display cake like Baby Grogu and get lost in making art. And it just makes me just as happy as it did when I was a kid. And I hope I can do that with my daughter too.